Yeah, chilling, man. Excited.
Zach, I had a good joke for you, and I forgot it. And I'm disappointed in myself because I had a good one for you. I was gonna tell everybody that the reason why something I forgot. I'm gonna think of it later on. It's gonna be after the show. It ain't gonna be funny no more. I'm gonna be mad. Mr. Lionel, man, good to meet you. Glad to have you on, man. Thanks for joining us.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Doing good, man. I see you bringing, you bringing people down to the Houston area. You know what I mean? You didn't slide them down to check out Prairie View, though, but it's okay. I see you. I see you, though.
I appreciate that. I do want to say this. I put this out there. We reached out to some HBCUs near and far, and nobody bit. Now, one school bit. Unfortunately, it was the HBCU in Boulder, and I told them we weren't going there.
Oh my goodness!
Oh man!
Nah. We so Jackson State kind of talked a little bit, but nobody really. And that's the surprising thing. We literally stayed 30, 45 minutes from A&M. I went to just about every home game except for like the Thursday games last year. A&M didn't budge. So they invited him to homecoming, but that was like it.
So you miss 100% of the shots you don't take, right? That's what Jordan said.
That's facts.
Yeah, big fact. Blue, man, what's going on? What's the latest in the world?
Man, chilling. Senior Bowl starts tomorrow, so beat all those practices, man. I think we got 5 FCS guys, 1 HBCU guy who's a D2 guy, Willie Drew. So probably go talk to him as well. But man, I wish I would have been able to make it down to the Shrine Bowl. I had some stuff come up, wasn't able to make that, but I know G and all those guys are doing a heck of a job covering it over there, man. But now it's just a draft. Hopefully we get some names called, but from what I'm hearing, until day 3, it's not looking too hot.
Yeah, we're gonna talk about that. I literally just said that not long ago. It's like, hey, draft coming up. We're gonna have to talk some, a little bit of that. But I got a question. Well, I got not really a question. One of the hottest conversations in all HBCU football has come to an end. FAMU has a new head coach. They named Coach Cozy, interim coach James Cozy III, as their head coach now. I'm gonna get y'all thoughts first before I say mine.
Go ahead, Lionel.
Listen, I mean, you wasted time to do what people forced your hand to do at the end of the day. For me, I'm happy. That's what you want. That's where you feel that you need to be at your best. Because end of the day, I want to beat you at your best anyway. So to me, I'm happy they got Cozy. I'm Jackson State people, hey, listen, don't throw shots at me, but it's like they wanted them to fall and beat them while they're down. For me, I'm like, no, I want you to be whatever you are at your best, and I want to beat you at your best. So for me, I'm happy they got the guy they wanted. Now, if it doesn't work out, which I don't understand why the AD didn't just make the move anyway. If everybody's saying this is the guy you want, you're new, you're only there for a year, you're safe, right? If you make that move, So the way she went about it, I don't really understand why she went about it the way she did, because it wasn't really going to be on you. But, now, it kind of has put a little wrench in some, in the relationship. I seen Cozy at the interview tried to, make some jokes. They didn't land. So, you can tell there's some, it's going to be awkward for a while. But at the end of the day, I'm happy he got the job, man. I'm happy the students happy. Hope the guys that decommitted come back. At the end of the day, because I want all HBCUs playing at the top, at the best. I want them to be able to play a Richmond, and it's like we can win that game, right? So I want all of us to just elevate our level of competition. So that's my thoughts.
Yeah, I think that's kind of the consensus. Is just if that was the move you were going to make, you should have made it January 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th. I mean, we're sitting here on January 29th, and the dude just had his intro press conference, and signing days next Wednesday.
Yeah,
I just don't understand. And also on top of that, you look at all the meetings they had about, are we good on finances? Well, let's go ahead and drop some money on a search firm that we're not going to take any of their recommendations. And it was like, and then once the search committee got shoved into the equation as well, it was like, they're like, we're just going to recommend 5 people who are on the staff and throw in McNair, who we know isn't going to be the next head coach of FAMU. It's like, you just wasted everyone's time. You wasted money. And it was just, what was the point? I just kind of hope this off season was kind of a learning experience on coaching searches, because, man, we saw some just outrageous ones from Texas Southern and the board relationship, which is a whole nother problematic conversation, to FAMU trying to do whatever they did. And then you even get to a Southern who took a little while to promote the interim as well, and he still can't get a full staff together.
Yep.
And it's just been chaotic this all season, man. But it shouldn't have come to this. And I'm hoping he's successful. But I'm wondering if the time it took to make this decision, like Lionel said, did it burn too many bridges? And can the AD come back from this, or is that relationship severed and it's just a ticking time bomb before she's on her way out the door?
Yeah, I'm kind of with y'all on that. I think this was the hire that most people thought would be the guy whenever Willie Simmons first left, and it seemed like they had to make it as dramatic as possible to ultimately end up with the guy that everybody thought was going to be the guy. And in the process, you lost how many recruits, you lost how many commits, you know what I mean? You lost how many transfers. And so you basically put him behind the 8 ball. Like you said, signing day is right around the corner, and he's just now getting where he needs to be able to recruit and actually, you know, get his program where it needs to be and have that backing of the AD and the athletic department behind him, not just him out there as an interim. So I think ultimately, you know, it didn't really make sense like everybody said, but I think it kind of was a power struggle at the top, and ultimately politics played out, and that's what made it so dramatic. But I think nobody would have thought that Gremlin coaching search would be like the cleanest, smoothest coaching search of all the possible SWAC coaching searches this year, because everybody in Gremlin was wondering what the hell was going on, because he said 7 to 10 days and it took him a month, you know. So I just felt like Zach said, every coaching hire came with drama, came with some kind of hiccup, some kind of hurdle that they had to get to ultimately land their guy, and it shouldn't be that dramatic whenever it comes to making hires, especially whenever you know the guy's already in the building.
Here we go. This was terrible, start to finish. I do want to say I started off very impressed with how the alumni and the fan base got together to raise the amount of money they did during the time that they did, because we all know what Christmas is. Not everybody got their tax money, you know what I'm saying? They raised that money, and understandably so, you know what I'm saying, Coach Simmons decided to move forward, you know what I'm saying, take something else. Then everything after that was all about emotions. It was like a bad R&B song, because all we heard was why people were mad with the AD, why people were mad with the boosters, and everything was based on emotions. Nobody was talking in facts. Nobody was talking in absolutes. Nobody was even thinking about the players. They got mad. I think it started off when AD Sykes mentioned wanting to bring Coach Gibbs in from Fort Valley State. And then all I heard was feelings. Oh, 2019, he was in a fight with us. Oh, and it was just like that. You holding on to that? It's like, you know, so I don't think he's qualified. He's a D2 coach. My God, come on, you know.
Drama, man.
The funny part is Colsey was a D2 coach. His only head coaching experience was at St. Mary's, right?
I'm glad you said that. Let's look at his resume. He began his
coaching resume up on FAMU's athletic page.
Yeah, that's on. They, you know, what I'm saying, he became a coach in 2002. He was assistant DB coach at FIU. He was a grad assistant at Florida State from 04 to 06. In 07, he was the special teams coordinator and DB coach at Valdosta. In 2008 to 2011, he was assistant head coach and defensive coordinator at Western Georgia. 2012, he was the South Arkansas special teams coach, recruiting coordinator, and DB's coach. In 2013, he was at Simon Fraser in Canada. He was the defensive coordinator and DB coach. 2014, he was at Coffeyville Community College. He was the special teams coach, recruiting coordinator, and DB's coach. In 2015, he was back in Canada at British Columbia, defensive coordinator and DB's coach. From 2016 to 2021, he was the head coach at St. Mary's in Canada. Looking at this, he had two winning seasons. He lost in the Lonnie Bowl. Both of those winning seasons. Everything else was downhill. And then in 2002, he came to FAMU as the DB coach. In 2022, he was the DB coach at FAMU, and 2023 last year he was the assistant head coach and DB's coach. So he does. I mean, he has seems like great knowledge of the game, but as you said, Zach, his only coaching experience as a head coach is at St. Mary's in Canada.
Yeah.
Will Davis said AD did not engage DSOs in the search. Big mistake. Help me out. What's DSOs? I'm missing.
Just like the big money people, pretty much.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I mean,
all the people
go ahead.
Oh no, I was about to say, no, yeah, he's like all the organizations that really have a say or any power. All the people that pretty much raise that money to keep Willie.
Yeah.
Didn't talk to any of them, which was a mistake because, I mean, Ant, Pough, you guys have covered Power 5. LSU was going to make a hired head coach and didn't talk to no boosters, didn't talk to no big organizations. We all know what would happen with that one.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, it's their money ultimately. You know what I mean? You let them know where their money's ultimately going.
So, okay. So, Will Davis said, if Gibbs was so good, why didn't Alcorn, Southern, Grambling, or South Carolina State hire him? Well, he's good enough to take over the championship program. Great question. So, I do want to address this. We talked about smooth coaching, hires. Alcorn probably had the smoothest. McNary now announced he was leaving at like 10 by 11:30 before lunch. They, they said, hey, we ordering Subway. What y'all want? Oh, Coach, Coach Thomas, you it. Congratulations. South Carolina State. I'll go to South Carolina State. South Carolina State wanted Chennisberry. They they full court press and got them. Southern and Grambling. It's no secret that Southern was going all out for Coach Berry. They swung and missed, and then from there, I don't know what their coaching search was from there. Direct support organization. Appreciate it, Will. Grambling. I don't fully know that. I do know they went to the players and stuff and talked, but as far as saying, he's good enough, saying why they didn't look at him, I don't know if they didn't look at him. To be honest with you, I know most of those teams. Well, actually, outside of Alcorn, the other three teams all looked at one guy.
For the most part, yeah.
Well, yeah, for the most part, and then moved on from there. So I don't know any of the other names that they actually looked at, though. So,
now I think Grambling did what FAMU should have did, right? Like Grambling did exactly what FAMU should have done, which is actually what they basically end up with the committee for the committee, right?
Mm-hmm.
They would have been in the same boat and ended the same place if they would have did that. Really, I mean, you can question Grambling doing it. Like maybe you should have hired a search firm versus FAMU. It's like they really almost should have switched roles, in my opinion, right? You know what I'm saying? So in my thought process.
I get what you're saying, though. Grambling getting their players' input, getting input from the people that they decided to put on their little board. You would think that FAMU would have did something similar to that, and get some of their players' input, get some of their, what's up, Pough?
No, I'm sorry, because he asked this question, and this was actually one of my questions. He said, how did Gibbs get consideration and not Quinn Gray? I know he did. I think he put in his name. I don't know what happened from there. I shrugged my head, my shoulders at that one. I agree with you there. Why did Quinn Gray not get a look? That was one of the ones I definitely looked at. So
yeah, that's a name that was very popular during these coaching searches, but I'm not sure exactly why FAMU wasn't one of the teams that gave him a look.
I got a theory.
Oh Lord.
I do think that 80 Sykes just really wanted to she kind of wanted to go outside because it ultimately
put her imprint.
Put her imprint, because if it doesn't work, it's gonna come down on her. And I used to have high school coach, one of the high school coaches who lived next door to me. And he also coached the soccer team. And he told me, he said, I don't know a lot about soccer. He said, but I'm coaching middle school. And these kids try to come to me and tell me, all these different things to do, as far as coaching the soccer. And I have to tell them sometimes, hey, at the end of the day, I'm the one who's going to get fired. So just run this play. It's a bad mentality to have, but that's how some people look at stuff. I'm not saying that's what she did, but
yeah, I don't necessarily know if she's gonna get fired over it, but I think
not this decision, but if it doesn't work out,
I think she was trying to make a name for herself and hire somebody that was her hire and not somebody who was already on staff. You know what I'm saying? She wanted to put her influence into the hire. You know what I mean? Whether that's right or wrong, I just felt like that's what she was trying to do.
Elvin asked who's the FAMU DC. It's not Smith. He left. He
gone?
Yeah, he left.
I don't think he officially left.
I thought he was.
He hadn't left yet. Oh, okay.
It was just. I think it was kind of like a verbal agreement that, like, depending on who the head coach was, he was going to leave. But Murray State nor FAMU have made an official announcement, so he's kind of still up in the air right now.
Oh, if they can keep him.
Now that would be the big loss, right? If we really talking, right? Like
that would be
yeah.
I think that would be a massive loss. A big loss was losing Disperse already. Him going to Boulder. So
I might have a controversial opinion on that. I don't think that's as big of a loss as people are making it. I really do think there's a handful of programs in the SWAC that sell themselves that it isn't hard to be a recruiting coordinator, and FAMU's one of those. I really don't think Devin Rispus was just like this unquestioned, like, can't replace person on the staff. Like, I think Ryan Smith would be a way bigger loss than Devin, because as long as you get someone who can recruit with the resources that FAM has, with the state that they're in, with the branding that they have, man, listen, anyone can recruit at FAMU, and I don't think Devin's as big of a loss as people are making it.
That's very fair.
Good point.
Very fair. Yeah. Well, fellas, I don't want to stay on FAMU too much longer. Tonight, Will Davis he already blood pressure getting up. He getting mad at us. You know what I'm saying? He already got, U-Haul reservation. But man, let's talk schedules, man. 2024 football schedules. We know that the SWAC put out their schedule. Some of the schools that already started leaking them. The SWAC started putting out theirs and just kind of releasing. And I do want to go over. I've got all the schedules. I don't think all the teams have their information fully input, but I do have all the schedules. And I don't necessarily want to go deep dive into each schedule, but I do want to point out which schools have like interesting matchups and games that may interest you, at least on paper right now. So with that said, first up, man, we got let me get this ready. First up, we got Alabama A&M taking on Auburn to open the season. Then they got Kentucky State. Then they got Fayetteville State. Then they got Austin P. Then they got FAMU, Jackson State, Bethune, Alabama State, Southern, Arkansas Pine Bluff, Grambling. Yeah, Grambling in Huntsville too. Then they got Mississippi Valley in Itabena.
It's a lot of losses.
Ooh, that's rough.
I'm gonna tell you. I understand.
That's rough.
I understand the money game, or I don't like seeing Alabama A&M play these early season games because one, it's
thank you
injuries, and then it's the rest of the season is just a complete wash. The first 3 games tell me nothing. You playing Auburn, you know what I'm saying, make a little money, you know what I'm saying, put a little something on tape for scouts, I guess. Then you take Kentucky State. That moves the needle very little for me. Then you got Fayetteville State, which again doesn't move the needle for me. But all that you know what I'm saying, if you slip up and you lose one of those games, that seat is gonna be on fire.
No, there's gonna be some clean offices if they lose one of those 2 games.
Facts.
Then the Austin P game is the first game that actually is of interest to me, and so
it's a lot of L's, like you said, man. A lot of L's.
I mean, I just don't see like where like I'll give them the 2 D2 games, and I hate this schedule because I hate teams that schedule multiple D2 games. Like 1's fine. I understand 1 because you got to have that money home game, but 2's crazy. That's just insane with the 12-game schedule. The Austin P's a question mark. Scotty Walden took the UTEP job. They got a new coach in. They've been recruiting at a really high level, though. They hired South Carolina's tight end coach as their head coach, so a guy with a lot of SEC ties, a lot of Southern recruiting ties, and they've been active in the portal. I don't see them beating FAM on the road. That home winning streak is going to stay strong there. I don't see them beating Jackson and Mobile. They really were on the verge of getting run out of the building in that one until Jackson kind of let up late. The Magic City Classic, I think Alabama State upgraded at quarterback. That defense is still going to be good. I don't see them getting the Magic City Classic either. Southern's going to be a tough game, even at home. Grambling at home still going to be a tough game, in my opinion, with Miles Crawley coming back. And then last time they went to Itabena, they lost on that Thursday night game 2 years ago. ESPNU and Dancy put it on A&M at home, and I don't think that's a guaranteed win either. So Connell Maynard's got to have to win some games that I don't expect him to save his job, because it's the last year of his contract, and we really could be looking at like Pough said, a very, very hot seat by the time October rolls around, because I think there's a good chance you're 2-3, no D1 wins going into the month of October.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's absolutely nothing interesting in the schedule other than the uniform, the all-white uniform. That's it. Not even design is interesting. All right. Alabama A&M got the classic uniform, the SWAC. Only school the classic uniform. Other than that, ain't nothing interesting. All right. I hate D2 games, period, across the board. Only team I give some leeway is Alabama State, because the Miles and the Tuskegee game, right? Like, that's literally the only SWAC school I really give leeway there, because of vicinity, right, and history, etc. Other than that, like, Kentucky State has nothing to do with anything. Fayetteville State has nothing to do with anything. Like, why are you even playing them? It makes no sense. There's North Alabama in the area. You got Sanford close. Like, you got so many other schools that you could play against that you can actually get a good game. You're not gonna, you're not talking about a game where you're gonna come in and have guys that are gonna be hurt because of the game, right? So, to me, I don't like that schedule. And like you say, after October 5th, their season's probably over anyway, right? So I don't like the schedule per se. I don't like any of our SWAC schedules where we have multiple D2 games, to be honest. That's my opinion.
Yeah. Yep. And you got anything?
Nah, man, that's just a lot of L's, bro.
Next up, I actually like this next schedule. I got a couple that I like on it. Alabama State open up with Orange Blossom Classic versus North Carolina Central. Then they got Miles. Then they take on Sanford. Then they've got Bethune-Cookman. They play FAMU for homecoming. Then they got Mississippi Valley State. Then they got the Magic City Classic. Then they got the Port City Classic versus Alcorn State. Then they go to the Hole, take on Grambling State. Then they got Jackson State at home, Prairie View at home, and then they finish off with Tuskegee in the Turkey Day Classic.
That's a better graphic than Alabama A&M had.
Facts. That's what I was gonna say too. It's gonna be my lead, right? They have an awesome schedule for them, right? As far as having the opportunity, if you're talking about a year where they really believe like, hey, this the year we can win the East, right, and make it to the SWAC championship game, possibly Atlanta. This the year, right? You really got Alcorn on the road. Depending on how Grambling is, right? Of course, I know Ant is already staring at me, but that's all you got, right? Like I'm looking at it like you going to Lorman, playing against Alcorn and the referees. Everything else you got.
No. That's in Mobile.
Yeah, that's in Mobile. It's Port City.
Oh, and that's in Mobile. So literally, you really only got Grambling at home, right? On the road, right? You got Florida A&M, you got Jackson, you got PV, all at home in the Gump, right? This schedule just aligns so good for them. As far as them having an opportunity to win the East, right? And then, you got North Carolina Central, you got Sanford on here, so those are two great games. So it makes the Miles and Tuskegee like, you know what I'm saying? I'm okay with that based on the history and stuff. So I actually like this schedule. I won't say I love the schedule. I like the schedule.
I put it to you like this though. My bad, Zach, but this is gonna be a team that if they don't make the Celebration Bowl, we're gonna look.
I know what you was gonna say.
They could have made the playoffs if they didn't have them 2 D2s on their schedule.
No. I'm gonna tell you, even
they
with
can't
the D2s,
make the playoffs. They can't because of the Turkey Day Classic.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
That's the same week as the playoffs. So that Alabama State, Southern, and Grambling, no matter what they do, they're ineligible for the playoffs because they play that same week.
I forgot about that.
Yeah, so
that's the only reason why. But I that was literally what I was gonna say.
Them D2s would kill it though, bro.
The way
I'm telling you,
got Central. Miles and stuff. But if you run the tape, say you run the tape, you lose to one of these games. Say you lose to FAMU, right? This schedule, the strength of this schedule, in my opinion, I understand you got the 2 D2s, but the strength of you're beating Central, you're beating Sanford, Grambling, Jackson State, Prairie View. I think they at least would have had a chance for at large. At least a chance.
If you take the Tuskegee game off, maybe. But with 2 D2s on the schedule, you wouldn't have had a chance.
Yeah. It would have been tough, especially because Sanford's probably not going to be voted to win the you would need Sanford to probably go on to win the SoCon, and you would need Central to go on and win the MEAC, which they possibly could. I mean, Sanford won competed for the SoCon 2 years ago. Last year, they took a massive step back, missed the playoffs, and they're losing hires at quarterback. They're losing their number one wide receiver, losing a lot. I have no idea what Sanford's going to be, and that could be good for Alabama State because that could be a very winnable game on the road with Sanford bringing in a new defensive coordinator, losing the starting quarterback. There's a lot of questions. I mean, I don't mind this schedule. Like Lionel said, the 2 D2 games for Bama State are always going to be a given. They're going to play those, but at least they schedule 2 tough out-of-conference opponents to make up for that. The only issue I have is just financially. Why wouldn't you make Valley your homecoming game? Because the FAMU and Jackson game and the PV game are going to sell itself.
Yes.
Sell the Valley game by making it homecoming.
I'm going to tell you, and I get that, Zach. The reason why they do that is because they try to give as much space between homecoming and Magic City Classic so they can get fans in both games. Say what?
It's a week.
No, that's 2 weeks. They get a bye week after Valley.
No, I'm saying if you would have pushed homecoming,
but that gives you, but you're looking at 3 weeks, or close to a month of, hey, you got one in the beginning of October and then one at the end of October. That's and granted, I understand what you're saying is, why not make Valley? makes a lot of sense. But I'm telling you, the rationale behind it is
what I'm saying is Valley game is literally a week after the FAMU game.
I get that, but that's an extra week. I know. I'm just saying.
Alabama State don't know how to do homecoming. They learning, y'all. They learning on the fly. Yeah. Let them work their kinks out. In a couple years, they'll know how to do homecoming, know how to schedule homecoming. All right, don't be so hard on them, okay?
A week shouldn't make that much of a difference, man.
I'm just telling you the thought part, because it was I've asked the same question, and it was they try to give fans enough time in between so they're not traveling back to back, you know what I'm saying, for these two big games. Because people are going to come for homecoming. Like Lionel said, homecoming is new. It used to be Turkey Day every year. That was homecoming. So now that they're scheduling and trying to fit it in, they're trying to balance it out.
That's fair. I'm just saying financially, to me, it would just be because the Valley game probably isn't going to draw a big crowd anyway. And if you made that homecoming, you probably increased attendance by at least 3 to 5K, maybe more.
It's only a week later, man.
I agree with you though. At the end of the day, I do. I'm being funny, but I do agree with you. I think Valley would have made more sense. Now, I want to say before you move on, right?
Mm-hmm.
Alabama State, did they care when they made the schedule about winning? I mean, about having a shot at the playoffs, or did they say, "Man, look at what FAMU did last year"? And they won SWAC, and they went.
They're not gonna make. They're not gonna.
They can't do the playoffs.
They're never eligible for the playoffs because the Turkey Day Classic's the same week as the first round of the playoffs.
Right, I get that, but I'm just saying in the sense that when they scheduled this, right, they obviously don't have a chance at the playoffs. But my point is, when you look at what FAMU did last year, FAMU had West Georgia and Lincoln, right, on their schedule. Even though they had I think USF last year, right?
Yeah,
but that's what they had on their schedule. They had a schedule put together so they could go win the SWAC and win the Celebration Bowl. You know what I'm saying? That was their focus was. So, and I've heard multiple people say that's the model teams should go after, right? I disagree with that, but the model of, hey, I take a D1 or two D2 schools, right, so that I don't have an issue of So I essentially it's like FAMU had a basic rest game, right? You know what I'm saying? That game before Bethune-Cookman.
I get what you're saying, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? They essentially had a game where you didn't have 70 more plays, right, on your legs and on your body playing another SWAC school, right, or another Sanford or even a Central. So to me, it's like that's what Alabama State is saying. Hey, we got an opportunity here. Obviously, some of these games before, right, but we got an opportunity here, right, to really win the East and win SWAC.
So I think if they did that, I don't think they would have agreed to the Orange Blossom Classic because that's a dangerous game to get. Like that's their 2 out of conference games are better than any out of conference game that FAMU played outside of South Florida, and they knew the FBS game wasn't going to affect their chances either way. I think if they were really doing the FAMU model, they would have scheduled 2 even more cupcake out of conference games, maybe a third D2 game if they could have gotten away with it, which would have been insane. But I don't think they would have signed up to play Central, who's probably going to be a preseason top 25 team, and Sanford, who we don't know what they're going to be, but they could very well be one of the top teams in the SoCon if they can find another quarterback.
Yeah.
I like it. I've got Ant told me not to say it, but I'm leaning early. Just saying. I want to make sure I put it on wax. All right. Next up.
I'm gonna hold you to it if you keep on.
If you putting it on wax, you don't need to be leaning. You need to be putting it on wax.
Well, I already said it. Ant told me I couldn't say it though. I shouldn't do that to them. He said it's not fair to them. Okay. I said it. Next up, Alcorn ain't out. At least I couldn't find a pretty graphic they had, so I had to go get what I could get. Their schedule, they got UAB. Actually, this was Alabama State was taking on UAB. But it didn't make. I found out it didn't make sense financially for them to play UAB, and the Orange Blossom Classic was, a better for them financially. So that's why they ended up there. So it's they're taking on UAB. Then they got Vanderbilt, they got McNeese, then they got Valley, UAPB, Grambling, Southern, Alabama State, It says Norman, but that is the that is going to be the Port City Classic. Then they got Texas Southern, they got Prairie View, and then they finish off with the Soul Bowl. I got the same problem with this that I got to get with Alabama A&M opening up with UAB and Vanderbilt. I mean, at least it's Vanderbilt, but that's my only issue with their schedule, honestly.
I like that McNeese game though.
I do.
I wish they beat them last year, so why not try to make it 2 in a row?
Yeah, but at the same time, it's a non-conference FCS game that they went with another FCS school instead of going D2, you know what I mean, and going that route. So I like the fact that they still went non-conference and put a team on the schedule that is going to give a good matchup.
Yeah, Alcorn, I mean, the last couple of years has scheduled well. You know, I haven't remembered them scheduling too many games down D2, right? You know, so I've liked Alcorn's schedule overall of what they've done the last couple of years. I agree with you. I would have preferred if they're gonna play, I prefer maybe a Sun Belt team instead of Vanderbilt, right? I understand it's 2 checks though at the end of the day, right? You know what I'm saying? But maybe like a lower level Sun Belt team or something like that, to me would have been better. But I'm not mad at the schedule either. You know, I'd rather this than 2 D2 games.
Yeah, I agree. Anything else on this one? We can move on.
Yep.
Next up, we got Bethune-Cookman.
The graphic threw me for a loop. Therefore,
yeah, the way they organized this was crazy.
Yeah, so it's they've got, even on, because they had it posted on Twitter, and they had, this is actually 2 different ones. They had the away on one side and then home on other, and then so you stick with me while I try to sort through this. They start with USF, then they got Mercer, then they've got is that Western Michigan?
Yeah.
Okay. Then they got Clark, then they got A&M, Alabama A&M.
Nope.
No, I'm sorry.
No,
they
Alabama
got Clark,
State.
then at Alabama State,
Yep.
then Alabama A&M, then Mississippi Valley,
Yep.
then Jackson State for homecoming. Interesting. Then they got Grambling, then they got Southern, then they got Texas Southern, then they got the Florida Classic to close it out.
Pretty much.
I see at least 2 dubs on here. They're gonna win the last one.
I will say, like, their schedule plays out pretty well, right? I mean, Southern's their only tough road game, really. And you look at, they get Bama State at home, Jackson at home, Grambling at home. The Florida Classic's always neutral site. They get their toughest FCS out of conference game at home as well at Mercer. I mean, the toughest road trips by far is Southern, and that's a cross-divisional game as well. So I don't know what Bethune's going to be. I think they're probably one of the teams that is this is kind of the year they either take that step or they stay in the bottom of the East under Raymond Woody. But if they can take that step forward, this schedule's set up for them to knock off somebody. And I think that's going to be very interesting with all those games at home.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Just the update. Bethune just with a monster duck just tied the game with Alcorn at 45. 16:55 left in the second half. So back to the schedule. All right.
Yeah, I really like Bethune's schedule this year. And this in general with the SWAC, it's kind of, to me, it's kind of weird because it always seems like, even with our schedule, is the same way, right? It's like a lot of the power teams, west or east, you see them a lot of times all falling either home or away all the time. You know, I wish the SWAC would revisit how they did the home and away, you know what I'm saying, with the teams, right? Because, to me,
balance it.
Yeah, to balance it out, you know what I mean? Because even with us, right? I mean, we'll have Southern away, you know what I'm saying? We have Florida A&M away last year, we had Alcorn away like all these power games are away. Like this year, we're gonna have all of them at home. It's just kind of like Alabama State schedule. So I wish the SWAC would do a better job of mixing those up so you wouldn't have it land, like this. Beneficial for Bethune, obviously, right? Because last year they had to go to Jackson, had to go to Alabama State, and had to go to, you know what I'm saying? Like, so beneficial for them. But yeah, and I think they're gonna definitely be a better approved team. If early, I mean, I think they're definitely easily in the 4th spot, you know what I'm saying? And it kind of depends on, it's them and Jackson. Depends on, you know what I'm saying, if they can get Jackson, then I think they could slide in that 3rd spot.
Ooh, fam, you knocked out Jackson State in basketball.
Ooh. Oh man, that's a huge win. But I will say that I did talk to a conference administrator about that, not in the SWAC. This was for another FCS conference. He said the reason it's so hard to balance those home and away games, especially in division, is because of how different the teams are every year. Because if you balance it one year, 5 years down the line, that balance might be flipped, and then you're with the same problem again. So that's why they always stick with it, because you never know. Like, let's say Jackson falls off a cliff in 2 years, or Alabama State falls off a cliff in 2 years. Well, now you balanced it, but now it's flipped, and this other team is the powerhouse. So just from the conference perspective, that's kind of the answer they always give when people bring that up, is that you just never know what teams are going to be good and what teams are going to be bad any given year.
That's fair.
Nah, we know who's going to be good and be bad, but we
this year at least.
We get you. You know what I'm saying?
This came from a conference that the preseason number 1 and number 2 team hasn't won the conference in like 9 straight years.
I got you. That's even more understandable then. Yeah, even more understandable for sure. Definitely.
Wow. Next up, we got FAMU.
No D2 games. Let's go.
About time.
Yeah. Yeah, we got the defending champs taking on Norfolk State out the gate as week 0 game. Then they've got South Carolina State at home. They've got Miami. That's a winnable game. Then they got a bye week. Then they got Troy. Then they got Alabama A&M. They go to I'll go to Alabama State. They got another bye week. Then they go to Jackson State, which is interesting. You know what I'm saying? Not being an Orange Blossom Classic. It's going to be fun. Then they got Southern at home. They got Texas Southern at home. They go to Prairie View. They got Mississippi Valley at home. And then, of course, the Florida Classic to finish it out.
My first thoughts was the bye weeks are perfectly placed.
Yes.
It's a masterpiece.
Crazy.
Split up those FBS games, and we're not taking that Jackson trip without a week to recover after a tough road game against Alabama State. The bye weeks are immaculate. Shout out to the AD and whoever made the schedule. And I will say,
don't give it too much credit.
The South Carolina State game is interesting to me because if I'm not mistaken, correct me if I'm wrong, South Carolina State was the last loss in Bragg. What, like 2018, 2019, something like that? That's going to be a huge. That's Chinnisberry's first game. That could be a state. If Chinnisberry beats FAMU in Bragg, week 1,
break the
man, the MEAC is going to be shaking going into conference play.
Yeah, they were benefited by the MEAC SWAC challenge, right, on the schedule too this year, of course, because obviously that's a week before everybody else starts. So, but obviously it benefited them a lot. But same thing you saw, to have a week between Alabama State and Jackson, and I mean, obviously, I don't know where people will slide us, right? But obviously to have our game with them, 2 weeks between that Jackson game and then our game, 3 weeks, right? To me, is great. When you see some of the other schedules, like Alabama A&M had like Florida A&M and Jackson State back to back, right? So you see a lot of teams kind of have that type of slotted schedule. So to me, this works out perfect for them as far as having to deal with some of the teams that you think could be kind of slotted to maybe be more near the top this next year.
Yeah, very beneficial schedule for them.
I like this. That South Carolina State game is one I'm gonna definitely keep my eye on. I joke to say the Miami game is a winnable game. I mean, I don't. That's
If Cam Ward wasn't there, maybe.
It's my guy.
All right, next up, Grambling. Grambling has interesting schedule as well. It's down here. They open up with ULL Raging Cajuns. They got to get as many L's as they can. Then they got Tuskegee coming to the hole. Then they've got Texas A&M Commerce. They got Jackson State in the hole. They've got Prairie View in the State Fair Classic. They've got Alcorn State at home. They've got UAPB at home. Then they go to Texas Southern. They go to Bethune-Cookman. They go. They bring Alabama State home. They go to Alabama A&M, and they finish off in the Bayou Classic. I know we talked about the D2 schools. I actually like having, seeing Tuskegee come to the hole. That's going to be interesting as far as, granted, the game itself might not be that good, but the history and stuff, that's going to be a, interest of me.
Yeah, it's going to be a good one for sure.
And they canceled it out by scheduling I think an interesting out of conference game, maybe not interesting for like other SWAC fans who don't pay attention to the FCS, but Texas A&M Commerce, year 3 of the transition to FCS, they've slowly been getting better. Second year head coach there. They got some offensive talent. We'll see defensively what they are, but that's a winnable road out of conference game. And when we talk about the SWAC schedule, only one D1 out of conference win last year, if I'm not mistaken, 2, McNeese and South Carolina State, Jackson, Alcorn State getting those, but that's a huge one. And also too, they get all their big conference games at home. I like it, or neutral site at least, because they're used to going to play PV in the State Fair Classic. They're used to the Bayou Classic, but Alcorn at home, Bama State at home, Jackson out of conference, quote unquote, but it's still at home, and that'll be a big win just in terms of his history of that rivalry. So I don't mind this schedule. I just also hate scheduling out of conference games with conference opponents. Bothers me, but that's a whole nother conversation.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. I understand it though from a money standpoint. It's gonna bring you some good money at the gate. So I'm all for that. But I'm with you, Pooh. I like the Tuskegee matchup for the history of it. That getting them down in the hole is another good money game because of the history. That's a good scheduled game there. The ULL game is, not really a big deal to me. It's one of those, they could have put a bigger FBS opponent on there, but I like the fact that they didn't have, a SEC or a Big 12 type school. They went with a smaller FBS school. And obviously, like Blue said, all of your tough games are at home except for that State Fair Classic and the Bayou Classic, which I'm pretty sure Prairie View is going to want some revenge after finally losing to Grambling in that State Fair Classic. But all your rest of the games are at home, and if you can't go on the road and take care of some of these Texas Southern without Andrew Body or Bethune-Cookman or Alabama A&M on the road, you're not going to be SWAC champions anyway. So I think that they had a very advantageous schedule for Graham this year.
Is that Tuskegee game a preview of a SWAC MEAC challenge in the future?
Very possibly.
Yeah, I don't prefer playing Power 5 schools at all, to be honest, right? My preference is to play Group of 5 schools, right? So, that's my preference. So I love the ULL game, love the Tuskegee game, obviously, and then Jackson, you understand, right? It's just an issue of schedule at the end of the day, because some of these games, really, you want it to be a game that's there every year. So it's kind of hard, you know what I mean? They weren't going to play them in a couple of years. I do want to, because I keep hearing y'all say that they have most of their games at home. Prairie View and Dallas is a road game for Grambling. I don't know why y'all. I don't understand what y'all are talking about. There's always an away game. We bring the most fans to Dallas. Our biggest alumni base is in Dallas. So I just want to make it clear That's an away game. Y'all won an away game last year. Y'all gonna have to win an away game this year. I don't care what color you wear. You can wear dark. You can wear red or yellow or whatever all the colors y'all got. You feel me? You know what I'm saying? It's an away game. So I just want to make it clear on the Geaulden Boot Podcast. This an away game for them.
That's cool. That's cool. It'll be a away game. We'll win another away game this year then.
Away game.
Hey, I do want something else. I do want to point out about this schedule, and it's just something subtle. Last year, Grambling, I think they went like a month with it before they had their first home game or something crazy like that.
True. Yep.
The balance of having away, home, away, home, away. I mean,
home. 5 home games is lovely, man.
Yeah. That in itself, you know what I'm saying, is big. So, yeah. And then not just that, having 5, 6, 7 games in your own state.
Mm-hmm. And I was gonna say, and I'm happy to see this. I was happy to look at the schedules and see a lot of schools with 6 home games, right? Because this is not usual for SWAC schools, right? I'm happy to see that we didn't take this extra game, right, and just go on the road again. You know what I mean? Because I think we need to continue to try to, I think we need to continue to value, right, playing games in our own stadiums, right? You know what I mean? We always have so many classics and things like that, right? Which is understandable, but man, there's value in playing games on campus at home, right? So
yeah, it is. All right, next up we got Jackson State.
Well, I can't read that.
Hey, I didn't make it. I'm just saying.
Over here. I can't see that.
All right, so they start off with ULM. Then they've got Lane College. Then they got Southern. Boombox Classic. I know BJ hate that. Yeah. You got Grambling. You got Texas Southern. You've got Alabama A&M in Mobile. You've got FAMU. You've got Bethune-Cookman. You got UAPB who are homecoming. You got Valley, and then you got Alabama State in Montgomery, and then you finish off with the Soul Bowl. So my biggest, and I've already stated this on the other one, that game against FAMU, being home and a home, in the vet, I like that. I like that.
It's big for them to get fam at home too, though.
It's big for them. Matter of fact, it's big for them not to have to open up with a conference game for both schools, honestly.
Yeah.
And also, too, the toughest part of the schedule is those final 2 weeks, road games against Bama State, and then having to go to Lorman for the Soul Bowl.
Yeah, it's tough.
That is brutal when that could be really coming down to
2 teams you lost to last year, too.
Mm-hmm. Very interesting games. I mean, because those last 2 weeks could determine who goes to the SWAC championship, and that's 2 really crucial conference games for them to have. But they should be able to, I think, because outside of that FAMU game, I don't see Texas Southern, A&M, Bethune-Cookman, UAPB, or Valley being able to challenge them. Outside of that FAMU game, they should be able to kind of cruise in conference play because Southern and Grambling are out of conference games, so no pressure there. If they might get through by just winning one of those games.
Yeah.
Lionel, you got anything on this one? You ready to move on? Because we're getting close to your school, so you can.
No, I don't. I mean, I don't particularly like the schedule, obviously, just because Southern I'm okay with having the one, in conference, out of conference. Grambling, okay, right? Jackson had to do it twice, and then you also got Lane, right? Like, if you're gonna do it twice, to me, I like ULM game, but then don't schedule Lane. That's my only issue. Other than that, though, I think it's laid out well for them. Florida A&M is separated from Alabama State, right? So that's great. Now you do got Alabama State and Alcorn at the end of the season. That's gonna be tough. But other than that, I don't like the schedule, but I think it lays out well for them.
Next up, man, we got Mississippi Valley State. Get that one up here. and I think Mississippi Valley State is the only one I didn't actually like look at and focus on. But they open up with Tennessee State. Then they got Lamar. Then they've got Murray State. Then they've got Nichols. Then they've got Alcorn. Then they got Alabama State, Bethune, UAPB, Prairie View, Jackson State, FAMU, and then they finish out with Alabama A&M at home. But I'm looking, and it's like away,
Yeah.
home, away. It's like they're gonna be road warriors.
At Alabama State, at Jackson State, at FAMU. That's tough.
And then all 4 out of conference games on the road.
And then you
And
got
4.
And then you got Jackson and FAMU back-to-back weeks.
Mm-hmm.
That's tough.
It's brutal for them. And then in terms of cross-divisional games, this is the year that you draw freaking Alcorn and PV.
Right.
When you already got the schedule that you have, you draw probably the top 2 teams in the other division. Valley just got, listen, this schedule is brutal.
That's tough.
They living in a suitcase.
The Bethune UAPB back-to-back stretch is their only little break that they got in conference play.
Is it a break?
Compared to the rest of their schedule, that's the only little break.
Compared to but that's
I'm talking about just their conference, but
you're right. That's still that's gonna be.
Yeah, it's not looking good for Kendrick Wade.
Yeah, they're out of conference. You got Tennessee State, who just went and made one of the splashiest offensive coordinator hires, returning quarterback. Terrell Allen comes back. Valley D tackle Jalen Bell comes back. They're returning Monroe Beard at linebacker. That team's going to be loaded. Lamar last year went from 1 wins to, I want to say, 5 or 6 and under a first-year head coach. They're going to be good. Murray State's got a new coach. We'll see. They're not good, but I think Eric Phoenix is supposedly stepping up at quarterback there. So we'll see what they look like. And then Nichols won the Southland last year.
Mm-hmm. That's rough, man. Rough.
All right, moving on.
You can skip this.
Prairie A&M.
There's a lot of blanks on this one. We still got to get some out of conference games up there.
Yeah, they do.
They're not dropping till the National Signing Day. That's when they're gonna drop the full schedule.
So they got Texas Southern, Northwestern State, Southern. They got Grambling in the State Fair. They got UAPV, Mississippi Valley, FAMU, Alcorn, and Alabama State. And of course, like you said, we still waiting to drop the rest of the game. So we'll probably have to revisit this again. So
because there's 3 more out of conference games they got to drop.
Yeah, 3 more. Yeah, I'm certain I'm pretty sure, even though I would hate it, I'm pretty sure we're probably gonna have a D2 game on the schedule because I looked at UAC schedules, I looked at the Southland Conference schedules. That's typically where we go, right? We already got Northwestern, obviously. I didn't see anybody else with any available game on a 26 other than we played ACU last 2 years already. Incarnate Word, they had a game left, right? But I don't see us playing those 2 teams. So I'm pretty sure we're probably going to have a D2 team on this schedule, most likely.
And it's funny because that was going to be my guess was Abilene Christian again. So
yeah, but we literally just played them these past 2 years. We just played Incarnate Word the 2 years before that, right? So HCU we just finished last year. So I'm not sure who they're gonna put on. You know what I mean? So
do you guys get a return trip from Houston Christian?
That's what I was gonna ask.
Played us. So we played. Well, it was 2023 last year. We played them in 2021 at home.
Okay, so that series is over.
Yeah.
Oh,
we don't have a homecoming game yet. I see the guy in the comments. The 26th is homecoming. I don't know who the homecoming game is. They haven't released it yet.
All right.
Yeah, but as far as layout, I mean, we got a lot of the major games at home, which is what I like. I mean, Texas Southern at home, Southern, Grambling at home, obviously, and then Florida A&M. So
y'all gonna have Lincoln for homecoming
and Alcorn. You know, I hope we don't, man. I really want to maybe A&M come or something like that. Like I like a good team where we actually get to see where you're at, right? I don't prefer the D2 schools, you know what I'm saying, personally, unless it's like a Tuskegee or Morehouse, you know, something that's like some history tied to it. Other than that, that's not my preference. But I'm just getting myself ready to see it, even though I hate it. You know what I mean?
Lincoln, California. Go ahead and get ready, man.
Or Lynchburg.
Boy, you took it out of my mouth. Virginia Lynchburg.
Rent a win from Virginia Lynchburg.
We better not play them. I'm gonna be upset. I ain't gonna lie. Play Lynchburg.
All right. Next up, we got Southern.
That graphic is
it was a tough graphic. Yeah, it was one of the lower quality ones.
I didn't make it. But they got McNeese? Yeah,
McNeese.
Then they've got Savannah State. This is the problem I had with this. I'm gonna finish, then I'm gonna go. They got Savannah State, they got Jackson State, Prairie View, Nichols, Texas Southern, Alcorn State, FAMU, Alabama A&M, Bethune-Cookman, UAPB, and of course Grambling and the Bayou Classic. This is the problem I had with this. When they first released the schedule and stuff, I think it was HBCU Game Day, and I told you about this. HBCU Game Day talked about, since Southern released their schedule, and they have a former MEAC opponent on there. Just say they're playing D2 SIAC Savannah State. I don't care what they used to be. They are SIAC now.
Yeah. You got to spin it though.
Yeah. Get that out.
But they're also playing a former national champion contender in McNeese, who hasn't competed for titles since like the 80s. So I guess that what a schedule.
Yeah.
That's hilarious.
The FAMU 1978 Natty team is going to roll out there on the 26th, and it's going to be a Natty matchup.
Hilarious.
Yeah, this schedule don't really do it for me, man.
Yeah. There's nothing here that excites me.
I mean, I like the McNeese and the Nichols games, right? You know what I'm saying? I do like those games. Especially if they can be competitive. You're talking about in-state schools that you're competing against, right? Especially talking about recruits, etc. Same thing like ACU and us, right? Like, so I do like those games. I obviously don't like Savannah State, you know what I mean? Because you got Jackson. So to me, if you're gonna have Jackson, you got two FCS schools. Like, I would rather you schedule another FCS opponent, you know what I mean, with a little weight, right? You know what I'm saying? Maybe like an Incarnate Word or, somebody that's going to come and actually really, really challenge you. That would be my preference. But other than that, it's neither here nor there. You know what I'm saying?
I like the Nichols game at home, though. Getting Nichols to come to Southern, I think that'll be a good for get them in Mumford. I think that's a good look for Southern. But I would like to see, if you're gonna go the D2 route, I would like to see an FBS somewhere on your schedule. You know what I'm saying? Kind of balance that out a little bit. With you could have went and got Southern Miss or somebody like that to put on your schedule. A lower tier FBS school to balance out having D2 on your schedule.
Yeah,
that Alcorn game is going to be crazy though. Homecoming and the Alcorn game in Mumford, that game is going to be insane.
That's the L.
No comment on that one.
Coach Fred ain't got to. Coach Fred ain't got to say it for you. I say it. That's
there. You go.
Next up, you got Texas Southern.
LLW.
They got Prairie View, Rice, Lamar, Jackson State, Virginia Lynchburg, Southern, Grambling. They got FAMU, at Alcorn. They got Bethune, and then they go to UAPB. Nothing about the schedule.
Kind of what you expected. I mean, I will say the back-to-back road games, FAM and Alcorn, is going to be a tough stretch.
Yep.
They got 4 games at home though in the middle of the season. That's great. You got Jackson, got the Lynchburg for homecoming, Southern, and bye week before Grambling. That's great in the middle of your schedule. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, FAM and Alcorn, right? That's gonna be tough. But
I probably would prefer the bye week between Grambling and FAM. If I had to.
Yeah. But man, you looking at a tough start to your schedule though.
And
they always look at a tough start to their schedule though.
I'm saying the first 4 games ain't nothing nice.
How long's that streak, man? How long's that streak now?
It's about to be a dime. It's about to be a dime piece.
Oh man.
Yeah, you know what I'm
That's
saying?
brutal.
Listen, all this buddy and Kiki and y'all doing this all season, you know what I'm saying? It's gonna be over when spring practice start. Y'all get all y'all pictures and stuff. We ain't taking no more pictures with Chris Dishman after March 31st. Listen, all that's over with. All right, Kiki and stuff. We're gonna kill all that. All right, that's a side note.
They still got one more game, I want to say, right? That's only 11 games, and there's 2 bye weeks on there, and they don't play week 0. So I'm assuming they're going to have another out-of-conference game they're going to announce.
No, that's 12, right?
They get 2 bye weeks, so they don't have a game on the 14th of September.
No, you're right. They do got
9, 10, 11. Yeah.
That's interesting. So it's either going to be the 19th or...
I mean, I would assume it would be the 14th. September 14th would be the other game.
14th.
I wouldn't be surprised with another D2 if they couldn't get a home and home with another out of conference school.
Yeah, that's the thing.
Because you don't want 4 straight road games to start the year.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and it's so late, right? You know what I'm saying? It's going to probably be a D. That's why I said even on our schedule, like we probably schedule a D2. I mean, at this point in time, teams already got their schedules lined up. So
hey, maybe PV Texas Southern Part 2 in the middle of October. If we schedule in conference, non-conference games, we can just go back to back.
Nah, I want to listen. You got one shot a year. One shot a year. All right.
Last up. So you got UAPB. First off, with the graphic, kudos to them. It's not that bad.
The font's got to change up a little bit, but
not that good neither.
I don't know about not that bad. I don't know.
If it's not that bad,
I mean, compared to what we've seen in some of these,
it's not worse. It's next worst to Southern's graphic. It's below Alabama A&M, which was bad, and Southern was horrible.
I would agree.
It's in between.
All right, that's fair.
Looks kind of bland though, my boy. I ain't gonna lie.
I thought that was a tennis racket up first at the top.
A lot of blank space. A lot of blank space right there.
Yes.
They didn't choose me to do it. So
do you know what this schedule shows me? Let me be honest with you. This schedule shows me that they're not gonna do anything this year again, right? They didn't have the audacity to even put any player on there because he don't even know who he want to put on the graphic.
They do. They got one at the very bottom.
They got one at the very bottom.
And they hid his number, so you don't know who he is.
It's 32. We can see it. All right. So they open up with Arkansas. Then they got Arkansas Baptist. Then they got Tennessee State in the Southern Heritage Classic. Then they got Central Arkansas. Then they go to Alcorn. They take on Prairie View at home. They go to Grambling. They Mississippi Valley for homecoming. They go to Jackson State. They got Alabama A&M at home. They go to Southern, and then they got Texas Southern at home. This is another, home away, away home, away home, away home. So, hold on, is that all their teams? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
I would love their schedule if they didn't have Arkansas Baptist on it.
Yeah.
Like, because Arkansas Baptist is not even. Then I don't think they're even D2, right?
They're NAIA.
NAIA.
Oh yeah, so yeah, definitely not. Yeah, so if that was a D, even if that was a D2 school, right? Then I would say like I like their schedule, but I can't love it because of the Arkansas Baptist game. But even if they swapped that out with a D2, I would say I really like their schedule.
I understand. Go ahead, Zach.
Oh, is that the same team that Grambling put up like 150 on in basketball?
No. That was College of Biblical Studies.
Oh, that's even worse. Oh, wow.
Yeah. So I understand the sentiment about playing, you know what I'm saying, lower level D2, you know what I'm saying, NAIA and stuff. For UAPB, I think this is perfect. Playing them to kind of build a little momentum. The game with Tennessee State last year was it wasn't necessarily a blowout. They had a chance, not really much, but they had a chance. So to kind of build a little momentum, going to that game with Tennessee State, it's a close game last year. Then again, lower level with Central Arkansas, and then you get into the meat of your schedule, into conference play. You don't necessarily see a couple wins until see another win possibly until Mississippi Valley for homecoming, and then what? Alabama A&M.
Wait, did you say Central Arkansas was a lower level?
I'm sorry.
Yeah, they're going to be really good next year too. Yeah. That's a bloodbath in that game.
Why was I thinking they were D3? You know what? I'm gonna tell you who I'm thinking about. What's the green and white?
Monticello.
Arkansas.
Monticello. That's what I was thinking. That's what I was thinking about. They the purple and black.
Yeah, they could.
I was thinking about the Monticellos.
The problem is they really didn't have a D2 game that they could have scheduled that would have been a win, because their program is not better than Harding right now, who just went to the D2 national championship and rushed for 7,000 yards in a year. Yeah. I think Harding would have beat UAPB by at least 21.
Yeah.
Wow.
Mm.
So
that's probably why they had to go NAIA for an in-state lower level opponent, because Harding would have beat them.
Gotcha. Yeah, Harding, they won a state champion. I mean, national championship without throwing a pass, pretty much. Like,
yeah, they were that good, and then also
don't run a triple option like Army either. They just,
they're just that good. Like, I mean, because Harding's been wanting to come FCS, but Central Arkansas has been blocking them because they don't want them at the FCS level because they're that good.
Yep.
And this game is down to the wire, getting close. It is 63-62, Bethune 342, and Bethune is at the line shooting too. So, all right. What else about this schedule? Anything else about this schedule?
A whole lot of L's, like we said earlier.
Yep, it's gonna be rough on them, but I like the layout of it though.
I think they're probably gonna get 3 wins this year. Actually,
I think it's gonna be tough. I can see 3. It kind of depends. Just depends. It depends.
It's tough because I mean they got beat by
possible like a spades hand.
Yeah,
2 in a possible.
They didn't even look good against. They didn't look good against anyone last year. They had to block an extra point to beat the D2 team on their schedule, and then they got beat by 30. They got beat by 30 by Valley.
Yep.
Yeah, but they look good against A&M. I give them on that Thursday game. I know, but I'm just
because it was Thursday.
Come on, Blue, be positive.
Valley's on the road a lot, so I'm gonna give them the Valley game, right? The NAIA, obviously, right? And then I think they got a shot against Grambling, obviously.
Whoa, hold up.
Huh? You knew that was coming.
He knew that was coming. It's a spades hand, Ant. 2 in a possible.
Nah, the possible was Central Arkansas.
The possible was not Central Arkansas.
No, it was not. It was definitely not.
Central Arkansas.
I know, man. I know.
Central Arkansas gonna be all of us. Okay, first of all,
Central Arkansas will be a unanimous SWAC champion next year with the team they have.
Stop playing. Okay, no, it's not happening right now.
In the age of the transfer portal, they brought back the guy who's been a Buck Buchanan finalist for the past 2 years. Convinced him to skip the NFL draft and come back for a grad year, and got their quarterback to come back after throwing for like 3,000 yards last year.
Dang.
Yeah, and they got an All-American running back coming back. No, my bad. 2 All-American running backs coming back.
How can schools like that do that? But if you turn and look at the HBCU level, they can't retain talent.
Well, it's not. It's just the culture. Listen, David Walker, who's the defensive end, was a D2 guy who went from playing like wide receiver or safety to just having a growth spurt, being like a massive defensive end. And he transferred to Central Arkansas from D2, and he was like, "These are the guys who took a chance on me." Their quarterback, Will McIlvain, was at another FCS school, didn't make it, had a horrible year, came to Central Arkansas, had a breakout year, was like, "Listen, man, these are the guys that gave me a chance when I wasn't playing well." The running back had an All-American year at North Alabama, is a Arkansas kid, always dreamed about playing at Central Arkansas. They didn't recruit him out of high school, now went there. The other kid, Darius Hell, another Arkansas kid, freshman All-American, he wants to stay there. It's just they get these Arkansas kids who Central Arkansas was the team they wanted to play for. I don't know why, but they do. And I think that's what you kind of got with the North Dakota States and some of those other programs where Arkansas is the flagship school of the state. But for some of these kids who grew up in the small towns, that was the more realistic option, was playing for some of these other schools. And they just got that loyalty for some reason.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's real.
I respect that.
All right. We still waiting on MEAC.
I heard June.
Yeah. MEAC. I think A&T schedule out. I just didn't want to
a whole lot of L's on that one.
Same with Tennessee State, and is Tennessee State schedule out? I decided once
they play North Dakota State week 2, so shows you how tough that schedule probably is.
I like Tennessee State schedule too, by the way. But Tennessee State is moving like I want the smoke. So I love how Tennessee State's moving, right? Schedule wise, obviously with the big, pick up with the OC. So, I like how Tennessee State moving. They saying, listen, I'm tired of being doormats, right? You know what I'm saying? At the end of the day, trying to make some moves.
Eddie George thinks he can win. I mean, and I got some good connections on that staff. All those assistant coaches think they can go win the Natty any given year, and they think they're that good. And so they're selling out. They're not afraid to go play North Dakota State. I mean, they got a home and home with North Dakota State.
Right.
Like, that's how confident they are in this team. And then, do you know listen, just think about some of the hires we've seen this offseason, not just in HBC football, but across the FCS. Is there another school that would have had the nerve enough to reach out to the assistant head coach and offensive coordinator at North Dakota State, which is his alma mater, and say, we're going to make you an offer you can't resist, and we're going to take you from your alma mater after 11 seasons with them and 7 national championships? Name another coach that would have taken that risk
with the balls to take that risk.
Yeah,
to go do that. So, you know what I mean?
We'll see how it play out.
I'm excited to see Tennessee State next year. You know what I'm saying? So,
can we please bring back the Southern Heritage Classic with Tennessee State and Jackson?
Jackson State, yeah.
We got to get and listen, just make it a home and home.
Yeah.
At this point,
that would work.
It a home and home. Make it financially make sense, but I'd rather see that game than them having to go play Grambling for no reason.
Yeah.
And no offense to UAPB, that game does not excite me. Are you guys going to be up for UAPB versus Tennessee State, or would you rather see Tennessee State Jackson in the vet?
No doubt about it. I'd rather see
State. First of all, the first one they played, the 9-6 game, right? It ended up like 16 to, it was a really close game.
It was like 16-9 or 16-3,
something like that, right? It was really close though, right to that fourth. Listen, on the edge of my seat the whole game, right? So yeah, I definitely prefer to see that Jackson Tennessee State matchup. You know what I'm saying? Even now, even without Deion, I think it's still a great matchup.
Ooh, Hitman out top rope. Jackson don't play any comp outside the East.
I think Alcorn's pretty good comp, right? For a yearly game, like Alcorn's always up for that game, even when they're not good.
Mm-hmm. They beat him last year, so I mean,
yeah,
and they played him well.
That Deion team
was there. Yeah.
Will Davis got a question for you. So kind of off topic was, hey Zach, What are your thoughts on West Georgia moving to FCS? Could be a good out of conference game for SWAC schools.
Yeah, it definitely could. I mean, they went and hired the D coordinator, Joel Taylor from Mercer, South Carolina State. I want to say alum. I know he coached under Buddy Pugh. There were a lot of South Carolina State fans that were kind of pissed Joel Taylor didn't get an interview for that South Carolina State job, being with all his connections to the university. I think they put together a crazy staff. They went and got the quarterback coach from Ole Miss. Their offensive coordinator is like 28 years old. Lane Kiffin disciple, and I think he's going to have that offense balling out. Joel Taylor's a defensive-minded guy. Helped Mercer go from never making the playoffs before to winning a game last year, and it was a lot of their defense, Lance Wise and those guys balling out. I think that's a perfect out-of-conference game. Easy travel, and also with them moving to FCS, be more willing to go on the road first.
Right.
That's a perfect game for the Alabama schools, FAMU, Bethune-Cookman. I mean, it's right there. A home and home would be probably super easy to set up because their schedule's wide open right now because they had to get rid of all those D2 games that were on their schedule, and now they got to schedule FCS games. Easy game to schedule, and I think I would love to see it.
That was what I was going to mention. Actually, West Georgia was the only school in the UAC that had an open date, and it actually was the date of our homecoming. So that was one school I had down as a possible. And speaking of teams, I would love to see us schedule UT RGV, Rio Grande Valley. They're about to come up, and I feel like them and Tarleton State are two schools that the A&M system is gonna. Tarleton State is growing like crazy. You know, I think A&M system wants them to eventually go. You know what I'm saying, FBS, right? I think when you look at UT RGV too, numbers wise, they got a crazy student population, right? You know what I'm saying? And so I know the funds are probably there. I think they're also going to get funds poured into them. So I think they're also going to probably be on the trajectory to shoot up at some point, FBS too. So I would definitely like to play them, you know what I'm saying, while they're still in the FCS range too. I think that'd be a cool game.
The UT Rio Grande Valley team, I talked to their head coach, was available at UAC Media Day last year, so they don't launch till 2025.
Yeah,
guys, they sold out of season tickets already.
It's crazy.
Like
they have the student. You don't understand.
Yeah.
They have I think it's like 33,000 or something like student base, right? This is a big. This is not a small school. It's a huge school that didn't have a football program. And they made some major signings, right? Like they signed some boys even out of Houston. It's like, bro, you went to come to PV, stop playing, right? You know what I'm saying? But like, they signed some guys though for real, so they're not playing.
Their fan base is so ready. Guys, they sold over 10,000 season tickets this was last year for a 2025 season that was 2 years away. That would be the most for a majority of FCS schools that aren't like the flagship schools like the Montana States.
Right.
That would probably rank top 5 among season tickets sold. And Tarleton, don't even get me started on them. I mean, the way they're building facilities is like every day you update the Tarleton feed, they're building a new locker room.
Yes.
They're adding on to the stadium. They ranked like 4th in FCS attendance last year, and they weren't even eligible for the playoffs until this year. This will be the 5th year of their transition, and they're the only program other than South Dakota State and North Dakota State to have a winning record in every year of the transition.
Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah. They ain't gonna be here long.
No. That's wild. Every year, man.
Yeah. All right. So wrapping up, quick question. Best schedule so far that we've seen.
In terms of competitiveness or like winning chances, because competitiveness is Valley. Like they scheduled a tougher schedule than anyone else in HBC football by far, but I don't know how winnable a lot of those
Valley
games
could have
are.
scheduled every high school in Mississippi and would have been the most competitive schedule of everybody else. But no disrespect.
I like Alabama State schedule though.
Yeah, I do too. I kept saying all last year, Valley is I think they're on the verge. Sleeping Giant. This schedule does them no favors.
No.
None. I think Alabama State is my favorite schedule. It's just that or Orange Blossom Classic, and then getting FAMU for homecoming. And the way it sets up, it sets up nice. I'm I don't know. Least favorite.
A&M maybe.
I don't like A&Ms, but they're not least favorite. I think it might be Texas Southern. I think it's Texas Southern's not my favorite.
Texas Southern still had one game to schedule, I think we said, right? They got Lamar,
Right,
and Lynchburg. So it's not bad depending on what their fourth game is going to be.
Oh, surprise, surprise. Hitman 1887 says FAMU is the best schedule.
Imagine that. Imagine that.
I would say Alabama State best, A&M worse. I think, but I mean, and to me, I feel like at the end of the day, that just shows that all the schedules I feel like could be more competitive because it's not. I feel like I'm saying Alabama State more by default than that. I really, really love the schedule from a competitive standpoint. It's just I don't like anybody else's schedule from a competitive.
I think Grambling had a pretty good schedule, not even being Homer. You know what I mean? But
good schedule. But we talking about competitiveness. You got Jackson, you got Tuskegee, you got A&M Commerce, which is in their third year, right? So
you got UL.
You know what I'm saying? So if you talk to me when I'm thinking about competitiveness, I'm thinking about going in against teams that you should be able to play up against, right? And have a pretty good showing. So I'm thinking of FCS schools and I'm thinking of low-level FBS schools. That's kind of how I'm judging it. So to me, Grambling you already got one game taken away because you're just playing Jackson. You got Tuskegee, right? So those two games X'd out. And then ULL is, to me, one of the better Sun Belt schools, right? Typically, you know what I'm saying? Not lately, but typically, right? they've been a pretty good Sun Belt school, right? You know what I'm saying? So, I don't look at that game as a game that you go and having a chance to win. You know what I'm saying? If you're playing a ULM, you know what I'm saying? ULL versus ULM, it's two completely different thought processes.
And then you got to put Jackson on there. Other than the game at Grambling, I feel like they got a pretty good schedule.
They have Southern and Grambling.
Oh, that's right.
They play Lane College. Like, what are you talking about?
I forgot they had the Southern non-conference.
See, this is why you don't know that Grambling going to Dallas is a away game.
It don't matter. We finna win it again.
I'm just messing with you.
Hey, Coach Green said Bethune-Cookman. Is that best or worst, Coach Green?
Their schedule's not bad at all. Like they got that 1D2 game, but they got two. That's right.
I forgot about that. Never mind. So
yeah, I like the Mercer game at home though.
Yeah,
that makes up for at least one. But yeah, I can't. That's the only reason I can't pick Bama State is I know why they scheduled 2D2s. It's just it's brutal. But I do like their out of conference with Central and also Sanford. I think those are going to be two really good games. And also they got some huge conference games. Like I think Bama State's going to be the place to be throughout October and November.
Well, so if Southern didn't have Jackson State with the McNeese and Nichols, that's not a bad schedule neither. But
I don't mind their schedule too much.
Yeah. I just like Sanford and Central. I think better than Nichols and McNeese. That's why.
Yeah, that's fair.
He said, "Ask Blue, how long we have to wait to hear the news?" LOL.
I don't know. I guess whenever they decide to announce it. And who knows, with the MEAC, that could fall apart in a month or two.
Yeah, true. Interesting. Well, fellas, look, as always, man, definitely appreciate y'all coming through. Y'all know what we like to do at the end. Lionel, man, tell the people where they can find you.
Oh man, hey, I appreciate y'all for allowing me on, Geaulden Boot. So hey, we're over at PV versus Everybody podcast, where we always say, man, it's a place for PV Nation. We're not the side conversation, not the side dish. We're the main thing. So come holler at us, right? You know what I'm saying? We're gonna be covering the National Signing Day event February 7th as well. So come check us out.
All right, Blue. You know what it is.
Man, appreciate y'all having me again, like always, man. Love hopping on here and talking all things HBCU sports, FCS, man. But FCS Football Central on SI.com. The Blue Bloods on everything else, man. Be at the Senior Bowl all week. And then just focus on signing day, man. But again, appreciate y'all for having me.
All right. Hey, this game, 66-67. Bethune up one. Alcorn State has the ball with 35.1 seconds left on the clock. Tune in to ESPN2, ladies and gentlemen. It is close, and they're reviewing something. What are they reviewing? What? They stopped the clock? What are they reviewing? I don't know. That's wild. But Red, I don't know. I'll say something about Reggie Theus, but I think that's some moot point. What is going on? I have no clue. I see SWAC referees are the same no matter the sport.
That's facts.
It's finna be a long 5 seconds, bro.
I know. I was just gonna say we can go ahead and get up out of here. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we'll be back maybe later this week. I guess. I don't know. Y'all know how we do it. Like that. We out. This show was presented by betonline.ag.
Bring me my money.